So mock draft 1.0 is here. Detroit Lions. We'll see what they're going to do. In my mock draft, this is what I have. Blake Miller, the offensive tackle from Clemson at 17th overall. 50th overall is Derek Moore, the edge rusher. Bud Clark, the safety from TCU at 118. Caden Curry at 155, the edge rusher from Ohio State. Matt Golban, 180, interior offensive line. 204, Roman Hemby, the running back from Indiana. Skylar Gill Howard, the defensive lineman from Texas Tech. Riley Nowakowski from the tight end and fullback at Indiana. And look, pick by pick. Let's go by pick to see why I picked these guys. Okay. Pro Football Focus gave me a C+ on the grade. I'll tell you why it's wrong. Even though our own metrics don't even make sense. The first pick was Blake Miller, 83.5 pass block grade, 73.3 run block grade. He was a great gap scheme guy, which is key for Drew Petzing and the Detroit Lions. 71.8 true pass set rating. He played 875 snaps and only allowed 2 sacks. Here's the thing about the right tackle. I've said it before and I'll say it again, especially on this program. When you look at the tackle position and you look at the tackles that were taken last year, there was 3 offensive tackles taken last year. The reason I like the Larry Borum signing, like I said earlier, is it allows you protection. It doesn't put Blake Miller into the position where he has to start week 1. Because here's the reality. You look around the NFC North, Van Ginkel, Parsons, these guys are legit. Okay. And if you go down your schedule, there are legit pass rushers that you're going to play week in and week out. So it can't be expected for a rookie offensive tackle to play at an all-pro level. I know that there's people out there that are telling me, well, Penei Sewell did it. There's only 3 or 4 guys in the last 7 drafts. That have been top 10 tackles in their rookie year. 7. It's a crazy number. I think the total number is like 33 or something that have been taken. And only 7 have been top 10 guys, top 15 guys. I think it's like 8. And top 20, it's 9 out of like whatever. It's really an insane stat when you think about it. But the thing about Blake Miller, you already improved the protection. Now you future-proof it. I think a lot of people, they're concerned about the protection moving forward. They don't know if Larry Borum could be that potential guy. If Larry Borum can't be that guy, okay, fine. That is good with me. But Blake Miller offers you an opportunity to where you can get better relatively quick. And Blake Miller would help out a little bit. When you look at the second round, Derek Moore, the edge rusher from Michigan, 92.4 pass rush grade. He had a 19.8 win rate, 11 sacks, and 21 hurries. I've always said, I said before I would like to get Cameron Jordan in here. I would love to get Cameron Jordan in here. But when you look at Derek Moore as the edge rusher, those 11 sacks, those are crucial. He's had 11 sacks, 21 hurries, 19.8 pass rush win rate. He's a very good player. So you think about it like that. This is the edge that Detroit needed. And it's a Michigan kid, which I'm not really prune on just getting a Michigan guy because, look, I want players that could help the Detroit Lions. But he does know Hutch, I think. If I remember correctly, he did know Hutch. And all you're asking from the guy opposite side of Hutch, just give me 9-10 sacks. What Al-Quadri Muhammad did last year on the opposite side of Hutch was really good. And that could be done by drafting someone. I felt like Brad Holmes over the years, like Josh Pascal being your only defensive end that kind of helped Aidan Hutchinson, it wasn't a great pick. And last year, what Brad Holmes did with the whole Marcus Davenport, Josh Pascal. Look, what we know about the Detroit Lions is they want someone who's responsible in the run defense. And Derek Moore is also pretty good at the run defense portion of it. So eh, very good. Derek Moore would be a really good step up. We go to Bud Clark, the safety from TCU. Uh, this guy is incredible. He forced 17.1 incompletion rate. Um, his he had a 77.2 coverage rate, 83.1 run defense rate. NFL.com compares him to none other than Kirby Joseph. None other than Kirby Joseph. And if you're getting compared to Kirby Joseph, I got news for you. That's pretty damn good. That's pretty damn good for you guys. And I think Bud Clark, when you watch him at TCU, he jumped off the page at you. He jumped off the page. He made you kind of go, okay, that's a guy that you're really happy about. With the uncertainty of what Kirby Joseph is going to be, it would be very, very beneficial to get a guy like Bud Clark. And getting him in here would be great for Detroit. And I think that's why it's so important that, they go and get a guy like Bud Clark. I mean, whether Brian Branch is healthy or not, whether Izzian is a good player or not, they need to future-proof the position in case Kirby Joseph can't play, in case Brian Branch comes back and he's not full particular. I think this is about really hampering and getting down that you are going to future-proof your defense, your offense, and you did it with the first two picks with Derek Moore, and you did it with Blake Miller in this mock draft, and you're going to do it with Bud Clark. And then you're going to reach back into the edge portion, and you're going to get Caden Curry, really good run defender, had 12 sacks at Ohio State. His pass rush win rate was really good. He's I think it was like 19.1. Really good. And look, edge rushers, you never can have enough of them. I think what I'm seeing from the Detroit Lions free agency is they're going to get a free agency guy that's going to be their edge rusher. And they're going to go and draft the two guys in the draft. This is one of the deepest drafts for edge rushers. So if you want an edge rusher, this is probably the best draft to get two edge rushers. And Brad Holmes has the opportunity to really build on this position. And if he does a good job of it, which he could, these two edge rushers could be available. And I like Derek Moore. I like Nadeem Tucker. I like Caden Curry. And that's why I picked these two guys. They were available. And I said, cool. Now, Blake Miller, there wasn't Spencer Fanu wasn't available. Both kids from Utah weren't available. The kid from Miami wasn't available. Blake Miller, I think, is going to need some time. Obviously, when you draft players, it's not for certain that they're going to be great their rookie year. Like, case in point, last year, Tate Ratledge, last year, Tyleik Williams, they played better than they looked in their rookie year. And that's just kind of the way it goes. So you have to give them a little bit of credence, but you also have to give them the opportunity to get better as we go on. So we go on. Pick 180, interior offensive line, Matt Golban. Now, the reason I picked Matt Golban, you're going to go, Michigan State's offensive line was total ass. And you're right. The thing about Matt Golban is he plays guard, he plays center, and he played right guard, he played left guard, and he played center. So this is a guy that you could put, he was Michigan State's best offensive lineman. He fits more towards a gap run scheme than a zone run scheme. So that really fits into Detroit's thing with the way that they're going to run their offense with Drew Petzing. And Matt Golban, for what he was asked to do at Michigan State, he did a pretty decent job. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say that Matt Golban was fantastic. I'm not going to tell you that he was some great shakes, but when I look at his overall passes, he gave 2 sacks last year, 1 hit, 2 hurries. He's played snaps at left guard, snaps at right guard, and snaps at center. This guy is all over the line. And, when you look at him as a player, you go, okay, this guy could be legit. And, they gave me a D- on this particular player, PFF did. But I thought it was a pretty damn good player to kind of put in there. Versatility is everything. If he could do whatever he could do, that's everything that you need to do. Pick 204 is Roman Hemby. Now, Roman Hemby is an interesting one for my perspective because when I look at Roman Hemby, he had 1,100 yards last year, 4.9 yards per carry, 3.3 yards after contact. This is a guy who, when you look at this guy, Roman Hemby, he's not an elusive guy, but he's good in gap grade. He's a good gap runner. He had a good rushing grade. He's good in gap and he's good in zone. He had 105 gap attempts last year and 117 zone attempts. He was pretty even. So if you put him in a Drew passing offense, you could ask him and he's going to do what he needs to do. Yards after contact, he had 773 last year and he forced 37 missed tackles. So look, could this be a Dave Montgomery replacement? Potentially. Could Pacheco be the guy? Cool. Having 3 running backs, there's no problem with that. And once you get to the pick where, like this is a 6th round pick, you're looking for players that could potentially help you from the start. They're not going to be fully polished, but you just kind of want them to help you out a little bit. Going to pick 212, Skylar Gill-Howard, the defensive lineman from Texas Tech. Now, this is an interesting one. Skylar Gill-Howard is an interesting player. Late round interior value. This is how you win in January. And when I look at Skylar Gill-Howard, his pass rush, he had a 14.4 pass rush win rate. His run stop rate was 11.7. Great pass rusher. When you look at his statistics, he had 1 sack last year, 3 hits, 8 hurries. He's not your stereotypical pass rusher, but he's a guy who could potentially be good in the run game and good in potentially give you some flash in the pass game. You need those defensive guys who could come in there late in January and help you out. I look at Philadelphia with Moro Ojomo. He came in there. He did a damn good job. You look all over the league. We did it last week, a couple weeks ago on the podcast where we were talking about, look, Detroit, you look at the last 3 Super Bowl champions, they kind of they have so much depth that they keep rotating these guys, and it's going to give you more and more opportunities for guys to get free because they haven't used a lot of energy. So that's why I go there. I think it's a late round value. He's a defensive lineman. You can potentially get those guys a little bit, if you get a late round one, that could really help out. Now, when we look at Riley Nowakowski, the tight end and the fullback, here's what I will say about him. Okay, he's a developmental piece. What I will say about Riley Nowakowski is he played in 16 games last year. He had targets in the center. He had targets in the slot, in line. He had 32 receptions. He had 36 targets, 387 yards, and 2 touchdowns last year. And when you look at him as a player, dropped 0 passes. His contested catch rate was 57.1, which is absolutely fantastic for a tight end. His yards per route run, this guy's probably going to be a potential fullback, but he could be a tight end too. He showed it, but I don't think he'll be a tight end at the NFL level. His run block grade was around 70%. So if you value a Pro Football Focus grade, that could be potentially what you look at. But I look at a guy like Nowakowski where if he is good, he could be your fullback, especially when you have a Drew passing offense. You could kind of ram it in there with Jahmyr Gibbs. It kind of opens up opportunities for you to make things happen. So this draft right here, you protected the quarterback. You added edge with upside twice. You build depth pretty much everywhere. You want to find late value with Skylar Gill, Howard, and Riley Nowakowski, and Roman Hemby, and Golban. So not only do you add positional value, you add depth. And that's the major thing about this. So you add both sides of the coin. This is what I think a winning roster build is like. Okay. And for whatever reason, there's people that are Lions fans that are like, oh my God, this guy, Brett Holmes has been not building the best roster. Well, Steve Peller Zorro or whatever from, he used to be from Pro Football Focus, has his own podcast now. He ranked the Lions the second best drafting team in the NFL. And then yesterday, Bleacher Report said the Detroit Lions had the 6th best roster in the NFL. So for all the doom and gloom around the Detroit Lions, it seems pretty bright if you just take a step out and you look around the NFL. I mean, you still got a good roster. This is still the offseason. There's still things that can happen like trades and more free agents and all that jazz. You never know how this thing can pan out, and especially the draft. You got 9 picks in the draft. As you see, 5 are in the top 200, which is really good. And then there's 4 and around the top 160. So Detroit's going to have their pick of the litter. We'll see what happens. What did you think of the mock draft that we had? To give you A, B, C, or trash? Did I reach on Blake Miller? Is Derek Moore the guy you think? Drop it in the comments. Drop it in the comments who your guy is.